that for any, I mean, I've worked for this company, the previous company, 3 local radio TV corporations, actually 4. So over the course of my career, of the 7 corporations I've worked for, this is currently the best corporation I've worked for. I can say that, and I've said it multiple times on the air and off the air, because of its structure. It's nimble, it's quick on its feet, it can quickly pivot. Bigger is not always better, but faster's always better than slower. We're quick, we move, we're nimble. I've worked local, regional, national. You cannot overcome bad management. It doesn't matter. I tell people all the time when I talk to college kids, chase management, not money. LeBron's a great example this year. He's Superman, and the Lakers have literally ripped the cape off. There's nothing he can do. I mean, as great as Kevin Durant is, he was struggling in the playoffs because they traded James Harden and got an end table and an encyclopedia for him. In the end, you can't overcome bad management, no matter who you are. LeBron's first 7 years in this league, he didn't have an all-star next to him. He couldn't get past Boston. Forget the championship. He couldn't get past Boston. So remember, Michael Jordan came into this league. First couple of coaches didn't work. Then he got Phil, and Phil figured out smart guys to bring with him. They put it together, and then you couldn't beat the Bulls. And so lost in all of Magic's greatness is that he inherited Kareem, and Magic didn't get Kareem to Los Angeles. The ownership and the management did. So yesterday, Magic Johnson went out, and there's a general consensus that Magic sort of did the right thing. He protected his brand. I defended him yesterday, and he only really hammered Rob Pelinka. But in reality, what also happened yesterday is, and Ramona Shelburne put this out there in an article well written today, is it did create more chaos and it undermined the current structure. As Ramona said, this time around, Johnson blindsided Jeanie not once but twice. Second time came Monday morning when he went on the airways and hammered people. Rob Pelinka, Tim Harris, an executive and family member, they refer to each other as brother and sister, Magic and Jeanie, but he's proved to be incredibly destructive and damaging. So, again, let's go back to the management. There is something called like a pyramid of success. There's a flow chart to success. And let me give you an example. With the Miami Heat where LeBron played, Mickey Arison, a very smart, thoughtful, good guy, is the owner at the top. And then Pat Riley has the final say. He's got some hubris, got some ego, but he runs the organization. And then they found this really young, talented coach they trust, Eric Spoelstra. That's the big 3 in Miami. And let's go to the Warriors. Okay, so the Golden State Warriors, you got Joe Lacob is the Silicon Valley rich guy at the top. There's a little bit of ego, but you got Bob Myers and Steve Kerr making the salary cap, roster moves. They're the second tier. Lacob trusts them implicitly. Then you got the big 4 beneath. You got grown-ups. Those are big 4. You got Steph and Durant and Thompson and Green. You may lose one, but the structure is smart owner, 2 really brilliant guys beneath him, and really big, grown-up NBA bankable stars. Let's go to the ever-improving Clippers. Steve Ballmer, Microsoft money, buys the team. Very energetic, very dynamic. What does he do? Well, he goes and finds one of the NBA's smartest old sages, Jerry West. And he puts him next to this really smart young guy who people think is one of the smart young guys, Michael Winger. Oh, okay, so you got the veteran smart guy, and you got the young smart guy. And then basketball, Doc Rivers, a grown-up. You trust him. You know, Jerry's having meetings with Doc, and Michael's having meetings with Doc. Doc's the grown-up on the basketball floor. And you trust him. Hey, sometimes he benches good players. He goes to them and says, let's move. Now let's look. Those are the pyramid of success, the flow chart of success. Now let's look. This is a spider web. This is the Lakers' current situation. So there's Jeanie Buss owns it, but she really listens a lot to her friend Linda Rambis, who, of course, is married to Kurt Rambis, who just got hired in the organization. Jeanie also listens to Phil. They dated for years. Now, Jeanie's also very close to longtime operations guy Tim Harris, smart guy, but he was now, according to Magic, involved in some basketball situations. And there's Rob Pelinka, who's super tight with Kobe, and we think they're both kind of tied to Jeanie Buss because Rob survived all this bad press. Well, LeBron's kind of floating in the middle of it, disengaged, but we know he's close with Rich Paul. Rich Paul swears to me He and LeBron are just letting him run the organization. By the way, Tim Harris and Jeanie are tied to Frank Vogel, the new coach, who's tied to Jason Kidd. But we think they're at the bottom of the flow chart because they're not even officially owning a home in Los Angeles yet. And oh, by the way, there's Magic Johnson off to the right there. Sorry for our radio listeners. We think he's tied to Jeanie, but he just called out Jeanie twice. So I doubt Jeanie considers him brother, sister, like Magic said 2 weeks ago on Twitter. And look at this. Remember John Gruden used to have that football call, Y2K, banana, spider? That's what it looks like. That was like a football play from a coach on steroids.
That kind of gave me a headache.
Okay, that is their current power structure. Sorry for our radio listeners, but now let's go back to, again, the nimble. Like I said, bigger's not always better in business. Faster and quicker's always better than slower. So let's go again to Miami and the Warriors and the Clippers. In all three of those, very simple. The billionaire, the basketball savant, into the young wonderkind, the young smart coach. Miami, simple, small, nimble, quick. Let's go to the Clippers, who have suddenly looked incredibly well run. The billionaire into the old sage, next to the new brilliant personnel guy and the veteran high IQ coach. Simple, nimble, small, few voices. Let's go to the Warriors' power structure. Billionaire, two really smart former players, and then veteran grown-ups, who, by the way, players are athletes, they're artists, they can be a little dysfunctional, but it's mostly grown-ups. Small, simple, fewer voices, nimble, can move. Now let's go to the Lakers. The hell is this?
Well, this is why Magic was saying there's too many voices in the room. There's too many people with an opinion that matters.
By the way, a month ago, Magic was way up at top, and now he's way off to the right. And Magic yesterday on TV said, our Lakers. So he's still part of the team, but he called him out. It's a lot. I mean, I didn't go to Wharton. I didn't go to a business school. That's not the way the power structure should look. That's not the way it should look. That's bad.
That's not the way family decisions should be made. That's not the way anything should look. It's not even a strong spider web. They build out.
Yeah, spider webs, they almost art. They are. And
they're very strong.
Very strong. Spider-Man was strong, sinewy strong. This is a mess.
It's like a unraveling sweater.
Lord. And you know, it's funny. So, because I live in Los Angeles, in a part of town where there's a lot of Laker employees, they're generally even during these trying times over the last 5 years, they're upbeat, they're optimistic. Like if you have any Laker connections now, they're not optimistic. Like people, when you listen to that Frank Vogel press conference yesterday, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that Frank Vogel kept saying, cohesive, we need to get the... Frank Vogel was basically praying that this thing could get... He wasn't just speaking to fans, he was speaking to Jeanie and Pelinka and the Rambuses and cinch this thing up. It's just out of control. Too many voices inside that organization means nobody has a clear and concise voice. Tom Tolbert, B.J. Armstrong, an agent and a 3-time champ, will also join us today. Don't skip meals. Drink Soylent, complete meal in a bottle, plant protein, essential nutrients. Go to Soylent.com. If you put in the code HERD20 or HERD20, 20% off your first case. 1 hour down, hour 2 next. In L.A., it's the